Welcome everybody. I hope that you're doing really well. We're going to start in a cross-legged seated position. So get yourself in a place where you can settle down and just getting those seat bones nestling nice and balanced on your mat. We're going to sit up nice and tall, just resting your hands wherever's comfortable. You might want to do a mudra. Let's go for the Gayam mudra. Thumb, first finger, and you've got that kind of circle shape, and just resting your arms. This is like a seal of consciousness. Let's close our eyes, and we're just going to breathe here, sitting up as tall as possible on the inhale, and when we exhale, see if we can soften through that height, creating lots of space in the body, allowing the air, the energy to flow around. We're going to go for an equal breath. So we're just going to silently count in for 5, out for 5. Maybe about now you can just start to feel your body relaxing. As we've changed the breath pattern, your nervous system kind of goes, "Ooh, it's safe, I can relax." We'll do 3 more of those. Breathing in for 5, breathing out for 5. And once you've done that, just allow your breath back to its normal state, just settling slowly back. I'm just going to pause here, keeping that awareness on the breath and just really noticing what it's like just to breathe. So this is your natural rhythm. Good. Let's do one more big deep breath where we really fill the lungs, the chest, the ribs with air, and then very slowly breathe it out. And then we're just going to take our eyes and just open them and then take our arms up. And just give your fingers a little bit of a wiggle. And we're just going to drop the chin down so that we feel a bit more of a sensation in the back of the neck. And let's take the gaze up, keeping the arms up. Just breathing here. So we're going to be working on our hips and our hamstrings for our session today. Let's drop the arms down. Obviously, we've got to warm up. We need to be working through the spine and the rest of the body as well. So let's just do, it's like a seated cat and cow. So we're just going to draw the hands in front, clasping the fingers and bring the chin down, pushing the backs of the hands away. Let's have a big deep breath in, feeling that expansion through the upper back body. And then exhale, releasing the hands and pushing the elbows back and taking the gaze up. Really pulling the elbows back. So big expansion through the chest, through the throat. Maybe your knees have lifted up. Allow them to do that. Good. Let's do it again. Deep breath in where we're really rounding through the spine. And then exhale, pulling back. Let's do it one more time. And coming back. Well done. And then a twist to the left, nice and gentle. I always like to use my hand on my knee to very slowly twist. And this time we're going to soften the left shoulder. And just think about where your gaze is going. We're not trying to push it too far over the left shoulder. We've got to try and twist through the spine. So think about where your center point is. See if you can twist through that point. And we'll have one more breath in and then slowly, slowly coming back. And just turn into the opposite side. I always feel like the second side feels a little bit tighter. So just give yourself a few breaths just to ease into it. And then very slowly coming back. Excellent. Now we're going to go straight into deer pose. Remember, we're working the hips and hamstrings. We're going to have the right leg staying forward. So we try and get both seat bones down. So make it your own, make your own version. So maybe you can really open that hip. I tend to get like, it's not fat. It's all the things underneath kind of squishing up, and it makes it quite, not uncomfortable, maybe uncomfortable. Makes it a little bit of a challenge to kind of open that hip a little bit more, and I've got quite tight hips. I haven't yet worked out where that tightness is. That's it. It's a bit about me. So we're going to try and sit up nice and tall. This is a challenge. It almost feels like my spine's going in this curve. I'm just going to breathe here, but I'm adding a little bit of pressure over towards the left. Definitely feel that rotation. Let's soften it up a little bit. So there's probably not a lot going on with this right leg. It's definitely in this left hip where the work is. And then we're going to actually take it into a stretch. So the legs are staying exactly the same. We're going to bring the right hand. So it's going to come under the right shoulder. We're going to lift up onto the right knee and just lift and push the hips forward. And let's take that left arm up. So we're stretching this big left side of the body. Can you feel that? Think about what you're doing with your head. Are you keeping it in position, or are you allowing it to drop back a little bit? That's going to take that stretch a little bit deeper. And then slowly coming back. And let's swap the legs over. If you want to do a windscreen wipe, you can do. Let's do that. Let's do it all together. So just dropping the knees from side to side and then flipping to the other side. So my right hip is tighter than my left. So this is more of a challenge. And I feel like I've probably got about 2 centimeters of space underneath my right seat bone. So all I'm going to do is just create maybe a little bit more space for the legs, this right hip, and just see if I can press into it a little bit more. Now we've all got different bone shapes. We've all got the way that our tendons and ligaments have kind of adapted for our body movement over the years. It's all to do with that. There's no shame in the fact that you might not be able to go that deep in some of these poses. I am with you on that. Where I do excel is I've got very long hamstrings. That's it. And I used to do a lot of like pretend gymnastics when I was a kid. So there's a lot of hamstring stretching. I never did a lot with my hips. So there you go. So let's see if we can just push into that right seat bone just a little bit more, making sure our spine is nice and straight. Yes, well done. And then that left hand is coming behind. We're going to drop the left knee down and just lift up. And then take that right arm up and stretch it over. Ooh, does this feel good? Answers on a postcard. Oh dear. Breathing into that space, pushing the hips forward. So actually you're probably getting quite a deep stretch in the groin as well. And then soften back up. Let's do the windscreen wiping. So whenever you feel a sensation, you're doing something right. We just got to make sure that we're not doing anything that's going to injure ourselves. And that's usually to do with making sure joints are underneath each other when we're sort of in those other positions. Well done. So let's get into tabletop. Just having a move through cow and cat. Let's come into cat first. Let's round through the spine here. And then drop the belly. Feels completely different. So when we were doing this, when we were seated, it definitely felt like more of the upper body. This is dropping down more into the lower torso, rounding. And just moving through those two. Take it nice and slow. If you want to stop in one, please do. Ooh. Now we're going to get ourselves onto our bum with our legs long in front of us. Let's take the arms up. Big stretch. So hopefully you can see that my legs are as straight as possible. Don't worry if your knees need to be bent. Just trying to go in for a straight back with the arms just pulled back just a little bit. We're going to take a deep breath in and we're going to fold forward. See if we can keep the hands there. I like to imagine that you've got a big ball or something, and then just allowing the hands to come down and just allowing the head to become really heavy. Maybe a tiny little bit of a bounce, just getting you into a deeper stretch. So make this one your own. Decide whether you want to make it active by flexing the feet. Now I was talking about my hamstrings before. They're nowhere near as long as they were when I used to be teaching yoga a lot. They've kind of eased up a little bit. If you don't use it, you lose it, apparently. Now think about the crown of the head. I want you to see if you, on the next inhale, take that crown of the head forward towards your toes, and then exhale. Fold a little bit more forward. And then very slowly coming back up. So see if you can stack each of the vertebrae up. And then we're going to get into a supine tree. So we're going to bring the right sole of the foot in. And just give your right knee a little bit of a bounce. Maybe it's a gentle push. We've got to be quite careful when we're working with the knee because there's not a lot going on movement apart from that kind of open and close, that flexion and extension. So we've got to be quite careful with our knee. And then I'm going to show you one of the things that we were doing when we were in India, to trying to get my hips a little bit more open. It didn't really work. So we're picking up the foot and got the hands around the foot and just start to draw some circles with the hip. Taking some deep breaths. So we've got this circular motion, change direction. Start to play around with it. And then we're just going to allow that right heel to land on the top of the left thigh. So there's going to be quite a lot of space under the right knee. And we're just going to take our chest forward. We're not folding forward, but we're going to get a big, deep stretch around the right hip. Maybe you can feel it in the knee as well. I'm definitely feeling some stretching. Like I said before, you have got to be very careful with your knee. As long as it's stretching, you can feel, and obviously we don't want any pinching pain, anything like that. And just pause in here. So because we're working the deep connective tissue that like to be held, we're going to hold this one for a little bit more. And just notice if you can get a little bit deeper. We can use our breath. We can take a deep breath in and then exhale. Let's do it one more time. Let's take a deep breath in. Exhale. And then slowly come up. Excellent. Now we're going to reverse that and get into half saddle. So remembering that you can have a gentle one where you just bring the inside of the knee a little bit, coming onto the inside edge of this right foot. Or if you want to come a fuller version, you're kind of bringing that heel right in towards the right glutes. So you're on the back of the right foot. And we're just going to sit up and be as tall as possible. So it's a bit of an ankle stretch. Quite a bit of pressure maybe in different parts of your leg, around your knee. And let's release. So take the weight over to this left side, nice and gentle, grabbing hold of the ankle, stretching that right leg out. And if it needs a little bit of a wiggle, do it. Give it a wiggle. So bringing the left sole of the foot in. Give that knee a little bit of a shake. First of all, it's kind of like you're warming it up. Come on, hip. A little bit of a bounce. And then we're going to grab hold of the foot. So just give yourself It's like drawing circles with it. It's a hip rather than the knee. I think the teachers weren't very happy with me with my tight hips in India. Just letting you know. They did actually think that was quite old as well for doing yoga teacher training. But anyway, that's another story. Let's draw circles on the opposite direction. And then bringing that heel in towards the body on the right thigh. And let's take hands maybe either side of this long leg. Take a big deep breath in and just gently push the chest forward so we're not rounding through the spine. So this side doesn't feel as tight for me, mentioned before. My right hip is a little bit tighter. Just going to see if we can go a little bit deeper. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Push forward. And let's have one more. Deep breath in. Only going as far that is comfortable. But there's always a little bit of kind of give and take when we're holding these. So if we're holding them for maybe 4 or 5 breaths, I think the body releases a chemical allowing you to go a little bit deeper. Well done. Very slowly coming out. Let's stretch that leg out. Give yourself a little bit of moving. And let's just flip over back into tabletop. Let's curl the toes under. Just going to build up a little bit of heat. On a deep breath in, you're going to just lift your knees up and then you're going to drop them down again. We're going to do that 6 times, following the breath. This is really good for your core. See if you can raise your knees a millimetre off, so you're just taking the weight off. Excellent, well done. It's probably more than 6, that's fine. And then next time we're going to have a go at holding for up to 6 breaths. Are you ready? Deep breath in and then exhale just to hold. 3 more breaths. Excellent. Get into downward facing dog. Oh, nice and slow. Fabulous. Pedal out those legs. What? Oh, I didn't expect that. Sometimes my yoga practice just kind of takes on a mind of its own. So, downward facing dog. Let's really move into the feet. Warming up the joints around the toes, stretching the soles of the feet. And having a big deep breath in, lifting up the heels, and then exhale. Soften the heels down. So don't worry if your heels are nowhere near. And just breathe here. So straight, flat back. And then into a forward fold, nice and slow. So make this one your own, whether you've got a version to ragdoll or just hanging down. A little bit of movement is always good. And then we're going to take it into a twist. So we're going to bring the left hand down into the center. Maybe you need to really bend your knees. That's fine. Now I'm going to take a deep breath in and take that right arm up. And we might be able to straighten out that right leg just a little bit. Let's see if we can get the back as straight as possible. And maybe taking the gaze up towards the ceiling. And just think about how much pressure you're putting into the left fingertips. And let's drop that right hand down, swapping over. So rebending that right leg, right hand into the center, left leg is straight. as much as possible. Take a big deep breath in, take that left arm up, take the gaze up towards the ceiling. And slowly coming down. Excellent. I'm going to make our way all the way to standing. Nice and slow. Keep those arms dangled down. Keep those chins. You've got more than one. Very slowly coming up. And then we're going to go into a tree balance. So standing hip distance apart. Remembering we've got different versions. You want to bring your foot somewhere along the inside of the left leg. And we see if we can pull that hip back, the right hip. Hands resting together. Standing up nice and tall. And just soften into this tree. So maybe you can notice a difference with that right hip because of the work that we did while we were seated. Beautiful. Now, if you're struggling with that sole of the right foot on the leg, see if you can really push it in. That can sometimes help. It does depend on what kind of trousers you've got on, if you've got socks on as well. Well done. Let's swap over. So I like to really ground down the standing leg. Get myself in position before picking the leg up. Get the leg in position wherever is comfortable. Remember that you could be on the toes. My right side isn't great for balancing. You have to really concentrate. Pulling that knee back nice and tall through the spine. We're going for about 6 breaths. And just breathing here, doing really well. Yes, well done. Back into mountain. Fabulous. Give your legs a little bit of a shake. And then quarter turn. Sorry, I didn't tell you to. Anyway, I'm going to take a quarter turn to the top of my mat. Take a deep breath in and just fold forward. And then get myself back into downward facing dog. So we're going to be lifting the legs up, not at the same time. One at a time. If you fancy doing it with your knees down, you can do that. So what I like to do is think about the center line and just bring the feet a little bit closer. I'm going to swoop the right leg up and point the right toes, pushing into the mat as if you're trying to push the mat away. So just stretch out the left hamstring. And I'm going to bend the knee, 3-legged dog, opening the hip. So lifting the knee up, bringing the heel in so the foot is flexed. Just breathe in here. Doing really well. Well done. And we're going to get into fallen star. So think about the right knee. It's going to come down. Going to pass the right foot in front and then over to the left side. So I've got I've got the side of my right foot down. So I'm going to take the left heel to the left, straighten out both legs, drop the hips down, and maybe you can take that left arm up. So it's a little bit like side plank. So the fuller version is lifting up the hips and taking the left arm back. So we prepped for this before. A little bit of a stronger one, and then very slowly coming back. Left hand down, right foot down, back into downward facing dog. Excellent. Bring the right foot a little bit more into the center, left leg up, pointing the toes. So try and keep the hips square. Good, well done. Let's bend the knee, flex the foot, heel in, and then open the hip. Good, well done. Let's bring that knee down. foot down, bring it in front, across, and to the right side. And then the right heel comes back, drop the hips down, left arm, maybe taking the right arm up. You can keep the right hand down. A bit of a twisty one. If you want to go into the fuller version, it's lifting up that right arm. Good job, well done. One more breath here. Big breath in and then back to downward facing dog, pedal out the legs, and then drop into wide knee child's pose. And just rest your body down, beautiful. Take some deep breaths here. And just notice the activation of the fire that we've just brought into our practice, getting our heart pumping. And because when we've got quite a short practice, we're taking it right down and coming back into working deep into the hips. So slowly getting yourself back into a seated position. So last thing we're going to do is just get into square pose. So it's a bit like a cross-legged. So we've got the shin of the left leg staying there. We're going to pick up the right foot and see if we can drop it somewhere on the left leg. And we try and bring the shins facing and stacking. So you might want to look for more of an expert on the internet. It's not too bad. There's quite a lot of space, unless I tip forward. So pretending I'm sitting up nice and tall. Let's see if I can do that. So this is quite a challenge. Almost feels like some of the things in my leg, around my upper leg, are not quite long enough. They're like quite rigid. More yoga. More yoga like this. Good, well done. And let's swap over. So the right leg is going to be the one underneath, and we're going to grab that left foot. So lotus position is more bringing the heels in and trying to get that right foot up and over. Obviously, I've got no chance. But this square pose, trying to stack both kind of shins in front. Don't worry about what it looks like, as long as you can feel something. It's all good. Just breathe here. This feels like, for me, this is my worst side, actually. Good, well done. And then just release. And just take the legs long, just in front. Give them a little bit of a wiggle. So let's get ourselves onto our back. And bringing our knees in. Gently rock from side to side. Let's just take the legs up and the arms. Imagine you've got zombie arms, so your wrists feel really loose. If you want to do something with your ankles, feel free. Maybe just a little bit of moving. The toes as well. And then slowly bringing everything down. And let's get into Shavasana. We have 3 minutes. I'm going to join you. My water bottle. I was using my water bottle to hold the curl of my mat. So 3 minutes Shavasana. So space between the heels, palms of the hands up. Closing the eyes and just settling in here. So if you want to go for a longer one, you can do. Definitely always have a Shavasana we've only done like half an hour practice, so 3 minutes should be fine. And let's just have 3 more big breaths. And go in for a big stretch. And I'm just going to leave you to come out of your Shavasana and your practice in your own time. Take it nice and easy. Thank you so much for joining me. See you soon.